So, Blackmagic finally done it. They've created the camera of my dreams, kind of. So I made some notes. The Pyxis 6K is basically the same as the Blackmagic Cinema 6K. However, it's in a box body, which is what everybody really wanted. So that means it's got 13 stops at dynamic range. It has no built-in ND filters. But this one's different because it only shoots Blackmagic RAW. I don't recall the Cinema 6K shooting ProRes. However, I might be wrong. If I am wrong, please let me know in the comments. This also has a USB-C port for EVF, and it's going back to the original style of how people buy cinema cameras, as it being the body only. It's got SDI, locking SDI, which is a lot of people love that. It's got a single XLR. But yeah, it's basically the Cinema 6K, the full frame camera that just came out from them probably 6 months ago, and squeezed it into a body. Well, not really squeezed it. It seems like it's gonna have a lot more space now, into a better body, in my opinion. So I made a list of things for me as to the pros and cons and also neutrals for this camera, and that's just as of right now, because obviously as time goes, you change in the things that you like and the things that you expect. For me, so we're gonna start with the pros. We got the ability now to shoot open gate. The 6K resolution is a plus for me. Blackmagic RAW is a plus for me. And this one is kind of essential with the monitor being on the side. There's a locking button for it, so it means once you create your settings and you go to shoot, you can lock it so that you don't accidentally change any settings while you're shooting. The price, obviously $29.95 or $31.95, is kind of huge for me because it's what you get for that price is amazing. Let's go to the neutrals. The neutrals are 13 stops at dynamic range. I think that if you buy a cinema camera, it needs to be a minimum of 13 stops at dynamic range. It's got SDI out. To me, I could care less if it's SDI or HDMI. I just need to be able to see when I'm shooting. And then that leads to the new EVF that they created. It's got a USB-C. It's over USB-C. So the only way to make that a pro is if they make it to where you can use your phone, Android and Apple, as a monitor via USB-C. And a neutral for me is no built-in ND filters. I know that I've always said that once you shoot with built-in ND filters, you'll never want to change. That's why it's a neutral for me. It's not a con because, like, again, the price, what you're getting, plus having built-in ND filters would be awesome, but it's not necessarily the end-all be-all because you have different ways of mounting ND. There are some cons for me, and this is my main con right now. My main con is it has no ProRes option. I like B-Raw. I think B-Raw is awesome. But I also like to shoot and be able to go into really any editor because I edit a lot of my social media stuff, like my reels, inside of LumaFusion on my iPad. B-Raw doesn't go directly into that, so I will have to do a conversion. So you're being forced to only have Blackmagic RAW. And one of my friends also showed me that in the App Store, Apple's charging $80 to get the Blackmagic RAW plugin for Final Cut. So to use Blackmagic RAW, you would, one, either have to go into DaVinci Resolve, which comes with the camera, and convert it, or just use DaVinci Resolve. And so I know there's DaVinci Resolve on the iPad, and I do have it, but it's just, I edit things on DaVinci Resolve in the iPad. However, I'm more fluid with the LumaFusion options for social media. And that's really just social media stuff. This stuff that I'm shooting, the YouTube channels, all the type of stuff, that all gets edited in DaVinci Resolve on my Mac anyways. So that's not a huge deal, but it is a con for me because of the social media stuff that I like to shoot. And then there's a single XLR port, which they said it was because if they were to add a second one, it would be, it would take up more space. And they actually geared this camera towards film production, so they expect people to really record all of their audio externally. However, in a small market, so it kind of is a con, but at the same time, it's a pro because they did think about a single XLR, which you could plug a mic into a single XLR and work from that. So I guess we could take that off of a con and put that as a pro because of the circumstances that you're in could be the issue. But that being said, I'm excited about this camera. I'm also not getting rid of the Canon C70. The Canon C70 does have its place. There were thoughts going through my head to sell it and buy one, but at the same time now, it's like I'm not doing that. This camera is exciting to me because I've always been a Blackmagic fan from the very beginning. In my opinion, if the Ursa would have gotten the 6K version of the Ursa Mini Pro, I probably would have been fine with that too. This box body is not really as important to me as it used to be. Once I had the Komodo and I had the Zcam E2, I really realized that this camera didn't necessarily have to be a square, but they should have had a box body option. But they already kind of had one with the Ursa Mini, and that's why it really didn't matter to me anymore if this came out, but the fact that it is out, it makes me excited. But does that mean that this is the end of the line for Ursas? And I don't necessarily know if it's the end of the line for Ursa, but I think if they keep the Ursa cameras, it's gonna be geared specifically towards broadcast and not film. That being said, I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be a great change in scope. There's a lot of people on YouTube that's against it, and I think that's because they probably bought the Komodo or something else, and now they have to stick with that, or they can't sell it for what they would like to sell it for. But I'm excited. I think that it's going to be a great camera. I think the 13 stops of dynamic range is not necessarily a plus in my opinion, but it's not a con either. It's not a pro or a con. It's like a neutral for me. But there's going to be a lot of things come out. Blackmagic has already created cameras that create great image quality, and it's just up from here. So let me know what you guys think about the Pyxis 6K. I'm excited about it. Yeah. See you.